There are nights when the veil doesn't just thin, it dissolves into nothingness. Candles flicker though no wind stirs. Shadows gather where light should hold strong. And somewhere, just beyond the edge of our hearing, a voice calls your name. As the day of the dead draws near, one man dares to step between the living and the departed, not to summon fear, but to bring understanding. Joining me tonight, psychic medium Vincent Genna believes every whisper from the other side carries a purpose, if you're brave enough to listen. Our guest is an internationally acclaimed psychic therapist, medium, spiritual master, and author. And his dynamic and inspiring radio and television interviews, podcasts, keynote presentations, workshops, classes, and private sessions have transformed thousands of lives worldwide. His teachings blend new and deep thought-provoking insights with science and ancient wisdom that universally resonate with the soul's knowing. He is our guest when we return right here to your home for all things paranormal. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is my Paranormal 60.
I'm not gonna stand here and listen to this baloney. He won't float. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me.
Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Good evening, Darklings far and wide. Thank you very much for joining me here tonight on the Paranormal 60. It's Halloween week. Man, this year has flown by. I can't believe how quickly we are already rapidly approaching the end of this year. But fear not, faithful followers, because we still have a full week leading up to Halloween, which is, as I know, many of your very favorite holidays. And Halloween also means one other thing. That's right, the series or season finale of Paranormal Mysteries with me, Dave Schrader, Cindy Keza, Shane Pittman on Stream Beacon TV. If you want to catch this original series from your favorites, from the Holzer Files TV show, back together again, investigating a whole new set of case files, opening our own paranormal mysteries, we would love for you to tune in. But Dave, I've already missed the first 5 episodes, and you're saying this Friday is the finale? Well, yeah, it is. It's the season finale, but that's okay, because when you go over and subscribe to Stream Beacon TV for just $5, you're going to get access not only to Paranormal Mysteries, but all the other great TV programs that they have. That's right. Stream Beacon TV is now your home for the paranormal, true crime, and horror. Stop waiting. Go subscribe now, and you'll be able to watch all 5 episodes and pick up this Friday's season finale. And it's a doozy. I go way out of my comfort zone as we visit the Ura Shrine. And this episode has a lot of deeply impactful moments for all of us involved. So I hope that you'll check it out. Let's get to it. Our guest is in the green room, ready and willing to join me now. Vincent Genna is here. Vincent, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Dave, you scared me, for goodness sakes, that entire intro of yours. Holy cow, I'm into the paranormal, but geez. But it's great to be here anyway. I have fun with the paranormal, you know what I mean?
I do know, and that's why we love doing this show. We love to make it accessible and easy, and that's what I loved about your bio, that you're trying to take the fear and stigma out of so much of this and just letting people know that it's not so much paranormal. This is really how life is, right? It's just normal to have these kind of things around.
It is normal. And just because society is not ready for it, not all of society, there is a large portion that is. And that's why I have fun, like with my backdrops and everything like that. And I feel like, here I am into it. I'm getting out into it, right into it, because it's around us all the time, Dave. It's part of it. And it's really interesting that it has to be called the paranormal. I actually would like the normal to be this and the para to be that world, because there is nothing that in that world that I want to be normal. This is the normal life. We're beyond this physical world. That's what's normal. That other stuff, that reality so-called stuff, that practical stuff, the stuff that we're experiencing on the earth right now, that is not anywhere near what the real normal is. You, me, all of this work, that's the real normal.
I agree. Now, let me ask you, I want to get into some of this. First of all, working in psychology, working and doing what you do to help bring people peace. Do you ever have to kind of counsel the spirits as well? Do you have to help them understand where they're at? Or are we misunderstanding this? Do they know they're dead and they just choose to be here? You know, all the pleading and begging and praying in the world isn't going to get them out of the place?
Well, now it depends upon which spirits that we're talking about, Dave. Okay. When we go, you know, that proverbial light that people see that have had near death experiences, they say they see a tunnel, they see a light there when they come back from that moments of death.
Right.
Well, that's actually an express train that helps to bypass the physical, the earthly dimensions to get us into the heavenly dimensions. So when the average person, most people, when they do pass, they will see that light. A matter of fact, they even see loved ones, and that's to try to make them feel comfortable with their new acclimation and to get them on that train. And so now they bypass the earthly dimensions and they're over there on the other side. And we'll talk about the counseling that they need on the other side. However, those that have died some traumatic, horrible death, they were very negative people, evil, crime-ridden, all of that, and not even that, but maybe they're caught up in it in some way. Well, they don't always go through that light. They fear it. They think that light is going to take them to a hell, or a lot of children that wind up getting caught up in all that negativity that goes around them. They don't know where they are. They don't go into the light. You know, come into the light, children. I think I'm doing a commercial for some old movies, right? Well, when they don't go through the light and they no longer have bodies, where are they? Well, they're stuck then in the earthly dimensions. And you know what? All religions around the world understood that, because that's why they had some kind of prayer for the dead, prayer for those in limbo or purgatory. And then you were told what would take you there. They used the knowing that there was that space, those dimensions, to try to control you into doing good. Well, if you commit a venial sin, you're going to end up going to purgatory and limbo when you die. A mortal sin, you go straight to hell. But a venial sin, you end up there. That's the ghost realm. That is what I'm talking about as being those lost or stuck spirits. And do they need counseling? Oh my gosh, I couldn't counsel them enough in order to get them to move beyond. They're so frustrated. They're so stuck. Many of them extremely negative. And because misery enjoys company, they want to bring that negativity and that fear to us. And that's where you get a lot of that supposed scaring and the poltergeist and all of that, because they enjoy you being just as miserable as them. And they prey off of fear. You know, they love when you're afraid. They actually can manipulate things through your own fear, but your energy. And there's a lot of myths about ghosts too that I hate to burst people's bubbles, because, you know, when you watch some of those poltergeist movies and stuff like that, right? Or you read some of the stories, you know, people coming out with bites on their legs and their arms. And guess what? They cannot do that. And the reason why they cannot do that, they don't have bodies. They don't have teeth. They don't have anything. They're just pure energies, just like all of us when we do crossover. But what they do have is they still have their emotions, and they have ways of manipulating you. You know, if I sat there, Dave, and talked enough into your ear about how sick you were, and I really exacerbate, oh man, you really look terrible. Holy cow, I can't believe, are you feeling, really, you look, if I kept doing that, don't you think you'd start feeling sick?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. And that's exactly what they do. They use our own energy to manipulate the things that may go wrong with you. And they actually need human energy to even manipulate things in room. That's what psychometry is all about in a psychic world. There are those people that have an extra amount of this energy than actually a spirit can use. Now, the good spirits in the heavenly dimension actually use that stuff to help items come into the world. There, you know, you've seen there's so many studies and there's research that's done in psychometry where there's groups of mediums that can sit around with people and actually bring in old antique watches from the deceased people, or coins, or small things like that. You may even see a picture or the face of that spirit come through. Well, that actually has to be used through the energy of the person. And so if they can use that in the spirit good realm, they can also use that in the negative stuck realm there. And they use us in order to hurt us or scare us, or even make us think we have curses on us, Dave. Yeah, so there's two different realms of that, and they both need counseling.
Well, Vincent, help me out then on this, because we all have that niggling little voice in the back of our skull that'll tell us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough,
Oh,
we're not pretty enough. But a lot of that comes from our own trauma.
yeah.
How do we start to discern between it being that heckling little part of our id as opposed to a spirit that's trying to reduce you to their vibrational level so they can continue to feed off of you?
Right, feed off of you. That's a great question. Nobody's ever asked it that way before, Dave. I will tell you this. It always starts with your voice first. It will always start with that self-negativity, and I'm not good enough, all right? If you are negative enough, all right, that puts out an energy wave. And negative attracts negative. So let's say you're fighting with somebody in your household, right? All of a sudden, there's a color of energy that goes out there, a red flag. And there may be some lost souls around, and they go, oh, wait. Oh, come on, let's go over. Let's go over to Dave's house over there. Man, they're having arguments. Come on, we can have some fun with this, man. And so they'll come around. And yes, they could be whispering in the ear, oh, yeah, she's terrible. Go ahead, go at her, man. You know, she really deserves that. And you're not knowing that you're hearing this, but because you started off negative to start with, now it can be fed in. You know, it's the same effect as the water cooler effect. All right. In psychology, we study these different effects. What's the water cooler effect for those who are watching and listening right now? All right, you've got two people at work. They're over taking a break at the water cooler, and one is complaining to the other about the boss. Oh, man, he's really miserable. I can't believe how much work he is. And the other one goes back, yeah, you're right. You know what he did the other day? Now, all of a sudden, somebody else comes over to get a drink of water. Hey, what are you guys talking about? We're talking about the boss. He's been such a pain. Yeah, man, that really pisses me off. You're right. And I said, you know how he took away that day and that bone? And then soon enough, if there's enough people around that water cooler, you've got a whole coup going on, and everybody wanting to go on strike because they now all hate the boss. Why? Because it just started with those two people. So what happens is the spirit realm, especially in that world, that's exactly what they're doing too. So they're exacerbating. So if you're sitting there even by yourself and you're feeling depressed, they could very easily come in and help to exacerbate that and bring that up to the surface. But I just want everybody to know it starts with and ends with you. You're in control of all your thoughts. Even if the water cooler is taking effect, you're the one who has to choose to still believe in it. So it doesn't matter how many spirits come along and are boosting you on with your negativity. You're the one who has to choose to go along with that, and you're the one who can stop it right away.
All right, those are great examples and good insights, so people can start to realize that. But I do want people to know that they do have that power, that they can shut that negativity down for their voices that they're creating and the spirit realm is putting out
Absolutely.
There are times, Vince, I've heard it, and I'll literally stop and I'll just do a prayer, and I'm like, take whatever this is away. This is obviously not me. I'm not going to keep letting this browbeat me and eat me alive. Please take it away. Is that something that really works, or am I just doing a placebo effect?
No, that's not a placebo. That absolutely does work with all negativity, including your neighbor that may be standing there next to you, giving you all negative. All right, you go away now, man. I've had enough negativity from you tonight. Go beyond, or you can wear the garlic cloves. We do that. Why do you think Italians eat a lot of garlic? Okay, that's because we know how to ward away those spirits, those negative spirits, and the negative neighbors. No, in all seriousness, yes, it does. Whatever positiveness you can do for yourself. And this, I deal with this a lot because in my realm, in our realm, there is that belief of attachments, right? I did a lot of ghost hunting, but I did ghost hunting for healing, especially over in Chicago. There was a television show, a morning show in Chicago, where the producer was a historian, and he loved to bring me in and bring me to all the haunted places in Chicago. Now, Chicago is loaded with significant haunted places. Hopefully not as much anymore since I've been there. And they used to bring me in, and I used to communicate with them. Even the worst of spirits, I would communicate with to try to move them on and to try to heal them. I was never worried about any of them following me home, causing me any negativity. Why? Because I was positive. Your own self-belief, your own positive attitude is your shield of protection. You don't need a sword and you don't need a shield. As a matter of fact, all the archangels hated every artist who depicted them with a sword and a shield. Why? Because they would never use that, and humankind interpreted all of that literally. Because of that artwork and those statues, it gave humans the permission to use God to go into other countries and to kill them and to savage them and to take them over and to destroy evil. Because if the angels could do it, then they could do it too. No. If we want to get into religion, Jesus said, he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. So why would an angel be holding a sword, right?
Right.
But what those angels do, especially Archangel Michael, helps to clear the channel within you. So from your conscious mind to your soul's mind, so you know you're more than, that you're bigger than, that you are divine and magnificent and powerful yourself, and you can ward off anything that's negative, including in the physical world, Dave. So this isn't just about the spirit world. This is about affecting your everyday life. And you can, and if we talk about that spirit world, you could walk into a house that is completely haunted, talk to all of them, and go home by yourself or with your partner that night and not worry about anything that's going to follow you. So that belief has to stop. But if you believe that they can affect you and that there's evil out there that's going to attack you, then guess what? You are going to manifest that, whether it's from the spirit realm or whether it's from the physical realm. You will manifest that into your life. It's your belief that creates your protection.
All right, Vincent, let me ask you a question. I want to go really weird tonight and have some interesting discussions in maybe ways you weren't prepared for and are kind of striking me right now.
Seriously, you think after we're talking about ghosts and attachments that you can say anything weird? Come on, Dave. What's the name of your show?
Oh, he doesn't know me, does he? Well,
No,
we'll get through this, Vince. We got it. So here's a question for you then.
Go ahead.
You're somebody who can communicate with the dead. You're somebody
Yes.
who can call forth the spirits.
Yes.
If time is meaningless on the other side,
Yes.
okay, then couldn't you, in effect, call yourself forward? Because if time is meaningless, you're already dead somewhere. Can't you call yourself forward for advice, for insight, for helping to structure and make you stronger in dealing with things? And if that's a fact that you can you also affect the past by changing the now in your mindset? I'm just, like I said, just trying to think outside the tapestry of
No, I love your questions, man, because these really get people to think and it get me to be able to come up with some damn good answers. Okay. You've got two things going on there. We're going to talk about time is a separate entity unto itself, but the idea of being able to reach out to me. Here is the thing. You have an oversoul. You have an oversoul. That was the soul that was originally created. That soul stays in the spirit dimension. Then each lifetime you come down as an essence. So Dave is only one small essence of his larger soul. And so there's other parts of you in those dimensions. Now, you can call upon the other incarnations that you've had, and they either tell you or don't tell you. Now, quite honestly, most of the time, they will not tell the person, this is me, this is you, this is who you were in a past life. But there are many who've tapped into it without knowing, tapped into a past life of their own without even knowing that that was the one that they've spoken to. You could never speak to another Dave. If you're going to contact you, it would be another essence of that higher soul, because the Dave soul is in the here and now. And as long as you are physically in the here and now, this is where you're choosing to be. So you're neither in the future nor in the past right now in this moment while you're talking to me. However, let's go to time. The past, present, and the future are happening at the same time. And you're absolutely right. You can change the past by what you do right now. But again, it winds up being not linear this way. It's stacking. There was actually an article in the New York Times a few years ago talking about how time is not a linear place of measurement. We created it that way just for our survival and getting along and coping on the earth in a physical realm. The time is actually places. Your past, your present, and your future are different dimensions, and they are actually happening at the same time. So they're stacked upon each other. Deja vu happens to be when you are accidentally jumping into the future dimension, which is right near you, and then coming right back down into this. So yes, a future thought, a future word of yours is here, but you immediately see how you come down right back into this moment, because you can't be there. You could never survive there, here, and in the past with your conscious knowing. Okay. Your soul can, but not your human mind cannot. So it's why we do remember things. And actually, Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, fabulous book out there, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. He talks about an experiment that was done, okay, by these scientists who were trying to change a formation of some element that they were working on right in the here and now. And then what they wound up realizing when they went back and researched things, that they changed a piece of the past. That all of a sudden there was a new document, a new discovery that was in the past that wasn't there before. And they did that by trying to change the here and now. My empowerment prayer changes the serenity prayer to recognize that. It's, the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to know the things I cannot change, the courage to change. I even forgot that one a long time ago now. And the wisdom to whatever. You know it.
Right.
Yeah, right? Everybody knows the serenity prayer, but I change it to the empowerment prayer, which is, God grant me the conviction to believe there is nothing I cannot change, the courage to change all that I want, and the wisdom to know what's best left the way it is. It's not that we can't change everything. We're not meant to change everything. We're not meant to change the past. We're meant to use the past, but not change the past. Okay. So that just is part of that knowing that it's all happening at the same time. But to answer your question and go back to it again, is as far as you being able to talk to Dave, no, you can talk to another essence of your oversoul, but you wouldn't be able to reach Dave, because then you wouldn't be here talking to that being there. You'd be there. And there'd be nobody here to talk to you there, right? So you can only be, but we set that up physically, purposely, to give us limitation. As a soul spirit, you can be wherever you want to be. And then you don't have that at all. But we see separation only because of this physical element here, okay? And we created it purposely to experience limitation, because there's something about growing out of limitation that is very rewarding. It's very exhilarating, and it allows us to really get to know who we really are. So we purposely limit ourselves. So no, you couldn't talk to Dave you right now.
All right. Well, then let's take a quick break. I'm going to throw this question to you to let it marinate for a minute or two.
Go ahead.
But then, is it a good idea then, in moments of meditation and deep thought, to call upon the essence of your past? Because if the object is each lifetime is teaching us something, but something maybe we're not accessing in this lifetime or remembering, is it safe to call forth those memories, call forth those iterations of us and try to use the knowledge we've already gained in the past to help us conquer a new lifestyle. We'll talk with our guest, Vincent Genna, right after this. All right, we're back. Thank you very much for joining us here. This is the Paranormal 60. Vincent Genna, our guest. All right, so before the break, Vincent, I threw you the concept of, should we call upon the essence of our past selves to help us navigate the choppy waters of this life?
That did take some moment and a really good stiff drink to be able to answer that one. I've got
Well, then welcome to the Paranormal 60. That's what we're all about, a moment and a stiff drink.
And a stiff drink. No. The whole reason why we come into this world and forget about our past lives is to start with a fairly clean slate. All right. Now, that doesn't mean we don't bring in some gifts and talents that we liked from a past life. We will use that. We will even bring in a knowing inside of us, right? That's part of what comes with the soul's mind. And you can tell those on Earth here who are either very early souls because they look like they're kindergartners and they're acting as such, right? They're making choices of younger people even, compared to those that are wiser, that are walking the planet in a better spiritual alignment and vibrational alignment, right? We always call them old souls. So yes, you will come in with different information. Okay. But it's if you want to do a past life regression, that would be then advisable, and let your soul guide you to a vibrational place, an old lifetime that can help you with some problems that you have in this particular lifetime. All right. You're stuck about something and you can't just find the answer in this lifetime. Nobody you go to can figure that out. You do a past life regression. You relive a past life that shows where that problem initiated. Now, all of a sudden, because of the knowing and the understanding, it came from then. Maybe you have the power to be able to do something. That's the type of thing you can do. However, on a regular basis of calling you in, there is a reason why you forgot all of that. You don't always want to just call in past lives because, first of all, we weren't all kings and queens and these beautiful, wonderful people who walk the earth. There was a lot of villains out there. There were a lot of vagabonds. There were a lot of prostitutes or anything like that, promiscuous people out there. And so you could have been one of them. And when you call in one of those lifetimes and you wind up seeing that could actually cause more of a problem than anything else. There's always this story that I do remember, because there's two different ways of doing a past life regression even. And there was a hypnotist this woman was afraid of giving birth. She was pregnant. She was afraid of having her baby. And there was no reasonable reason in this lifetime as to what her fear came from. So the doctor decided to hypnotize her and maybe bring her back and see if there was a past life of something to do with that. Well, he controlled this situation, and he wound up bringing it to a lifetime where upon birth of her child, she dies. Okay. Now she knows that in this lifetime. Well, guess what? Until she was ready to give birth, she did nothing but panic about having that baby. It caused her such emotional stress. And then, of course, in this lifetime, she had the baby. She was fine. She survived. But until that point, she was completely traumatized. She should have never, ever have been brought back to that particular lifetime. That could have been explained away, her fear, and let go and just counsel her just on a normal basis. You're going to be okay. Just like we counsel people who are afraid of heights or afraid of snakes or afraid of spiders. There's all different ways of desensitizing them rather than bringing them to a point where they were thrown in a pit with 1,000 rattlesnakes and they were eaten and bitten and they suffered this horrible death. Right now nobody's going to go. That person's never going to go anywhere where there's snakes again. They'll confine themselves. So no, talking and invoking those past lives are not good. However, when you do a past life regression, I happen to love Edgar Casey's material. He is a prophet of our times, actually. Well, the 1800s is when he was born, and in the 19th century is when he was doing his readings. And so his material was always allow the soul to guide you to that lifetime that can help you, rather than a hypnotist or another person. So even when I do past life regressions, I'm allowing the soul to do the guiding. And so the soul will take you to a place that is going to be beneficial and helpful. So it's not traumatizing. But when you're doing it on your own, that's the same thing as astral projection. Out-of-body experience and astral projection. Astral projection, you make happen yourself. Out-of-body experience, your soul decides when it's going to leave or whether it leaves or not. Astral projection can cause you a world of trouble. You can go out of your body and never return again. You can get caught up in a coma and not find your way back. And that's all done because of curiosity. It's not done for learning, or you think it's learning. And some people, there's groups out there that do that, and they're doing it more for the experience rather than the growth, and they're getting themselves in trouble. But at night, your soul will even leave to go learn something, to get a message, to communicate with somebody somewhere else that's going to be helpful, and then come back. But it's in control rather than the mind and rather than some other person. So no, the advice is no, it's calling your own past lives in. You want to learn from the here and now, Dave. You want to learn from the talents that you have with you now. That's what you mostly want to learn from, because even if you get that information, you still have to apply it in this lifetime, right? So this is the lifetime that's important, because this is the lifetime you chose to grow in, not the past lives, this particular one. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come back.
All right, let's have some fun, weird questions here, and we'll keep spilling out. I do want to know, and we'll save it for a little bit later. There's got to be some moments in Vincent Genna's life that have been a little scarier than others, unnerving moments dealing with the dead or whatever's out there. But this is a big question that comes to me all the time.
Okay.
And I'm going to be at an event in Atlanta, Georgia this Friday with Cindy and Shane from Paranormal Mysteries. We're going to be at a comedy club, and people love to ask questions. They always want to know, why don't we ever see naked ghosts, Vincent?
Okay. If those people are asking those questions in your audience, Dave, you need a different audience.
No, that's a good question, because we see Roman gladiator ghosts. We see ghosts.
I do see Roman gladiator ghosts. It's very funny you say a Roman gladiator ghost, because that was actually not too long ago the oldest ghost that I had ever seen, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But I know, I get that. Why don't you see naked ghosts? Okay. Believe it or not, you can, but it's not because necessarily of the ghost itself. First of all, ghosts don't have any more bodies, right? That's the whole idea. It's just like, I love channels who channel in spirits, and they channel with an accent. I'm like, where'd you get the accent from? Well, the spirit comes from Ireland. Oh, but that spirit doesn't have vocal cords anymore, Lauren Bagore. So how are you going to be speaking with an accent then without this vocal cord speaking to you?
But if they're channeling, Vincent, aren't they coming through you, utilizing your vocal cords? So therefore they would be influencing it into an accent that would be recognizable to who they were when they were here?
Well, that's really good. Yes, they will let you know, and that's how spirits let me know they were from a foreign land. But then they would be using your own voice, your own what's in there to continue the conversation. The whole reason why those really like to channel, because it makes them sound a little bit more credible. They have a different voice, a deeper voice. No, they don't have vocal cords. They're only energy. And they're not manipulating your vocal cords. They're manipulating your mind. They're using your mind so that your mind is coming out through your own vocal cords. They do not control you physically. They control you mentally. They get in your head. Your head controls everything else, okay? Mm-hmm. So then what you see is going to be filtered through your own imagination, your own knowing, and what's in your head. Okay, So here's the thing. Just because nobody has ever seen a naked ghost, it's not in everybody's head to see a naked ghost. So the first thing they'll see is white. They'll see dark. You see a lot of dark ghosts, right? Because in your head, when you think of a ghost, you think scary. Now, of course, you always see that white sheeted ghost, but that was more around Halloween, which is coming up. We know we don't see white ghosts like that, so people don't see white ghosts. They see dark figures. A lot of dark figures. They don't see those teeth come at them. If they see, it's in their own imagination. These monsters that you see on TV and sci-fi movies, those are all made up images. Not one of those images were real, but inside that person's mind, that's their imagination. They're making it real. So it has to depend on you. Now, I will tell you this. If you lived in a nudist colony and your spouse or partner dies and is on the other side, and now all of a sudden you wind up seeing a spirit, chances are you will see that spirit just as what you were used to, because that's what you were used to. That's what's up in here. But we're not used to seeing that way. We're used to seeing Roman soldiers. We're used to seeing, even if you watch porn, they put on clothes eventually. Right? So it's not.
I never get that far into the video, Vincent, so I don't know.
Wait, what? To put on the clothes or that you see them naked? Which part of the video you don't get that far?
I'll just let you work that out. You're the psychic.
Imagination.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I mean. It's part of, you see in the normal and paranormal in your title, what's normal to you is how you're going to wind up interpreting what you see. Okay. And what you're capable of. Now, doing the work that I do, I am capable of seeing a wide variety of spirits because I've worked with so many of them, right? And I do have a lot of historical stuff. I'm old enough, I'm 70 years old now, so there's a lot of information that's up there in this head that can be manipulated for me to be able to see right and to see this spirit. And they want me to see them in the way it's part of my evidential mediumship. So I will see certain things on it. But quite honestly, if they had some unusual outfit that I've never seen, that is never in here, there's no way that they're going to be able to manipulate that. They can't put information in. They can only take information out. Okay? So just understand that. Everybody thinks that they're talking and they're using their voices and they can say anything that they want to you and like a telephone call and that you can then turn that information over. That's not true. They have to use what's inside of you. So people have come to me and for readings and they want to connect with a loved one, let's say. And I have this as an example, which is really funny. I had the sister of a gentleman who died, and the father came. So the father and the sister of this spirit that they wanted to talk to came for a reading. Now, I described this guy. He was right next to me. I described him perfectly, stature, everything. I described that he was into music. He played the guitar. He had a small group going. The school he went to. All of this stuff. And they were sitting there and they still looked very doubtful. And they said to me, I'm like, why? Something's wrong here. And they said, yep, you didn't come out with the one piece of evidence, the proof that would let us know for sure it was him. And I said, are you kidding me? With everything else I came out with, you're looking for this one piece of proof? Yeah, I'm sorry. It just, we just wish it. Yes, it would be nice, but this one piece of proof is so important that if you came out with it, we'd know for sure. Both of us would know for sure that it was him. And I'm like, okay, I give up. What is that piece of evidence? And they said a title of, and I can't even repeat the title because it's still not in here, a title of a famous Grateful Dead song. And I looked at them. I said, Grateful Dead, do you know what I was listening to when Grateful Dead was famous? I was listening to Barry Manilow. I was listening to the Carpenters. I was listening to Peter, Paul, and Mary. I never listened to Grateful Dead. So you expect me to come out with his favorite song that the whole family used to sing all the time from the Grateful Dead that I never listened to. And that would give you proof? I was like so pissed. I said there was no way I was going to be able to come out with that. Now, if he wanted to play charades with me, which I actually did on a Guns N' Roses song, by the way, the guy actually showed me a Guns N' Roses record label, the famous one with the boots and the guns, right? And then I was able to come out with that right away and the rose on it. The Guns and the Rose, right? And that I was able to get as far as his favorite group, but this one wasn't, he wasn't going there. It just, and he wasn't giving me the title of it. There was no way he could do that. So they have to use what's in your head then. So if
they have to use what's in you, the reader's head?
Me, no, my head, the medium's head.
Okay.
Okay. So even if you have a whole bunch of naked ghost thoughts in your head, or you watched a lot of porn, chances are you'd be able to see some naked, hot, porn star who's deceased on the other side, Dave. But other than that, you're not going to see any naked ghosts. So you can tell them that,
All right.
If you say naked ghosts, I know exactly what your background is, It's got to be a pole in your living room.
Why do ghosts seem to hang out in our closets, in our attics, in our basements, and in our bathrooms? The bathroom seems to be the most unsettling. How many people tell me they're sitting there, the water will turn on while they're in the midst of having a sit down, or the toilet paper will begin unspooling on its own, and they will get these moments with the spirit realm. Why bother us at our most vulnerable moment?
Okay. Mom and dad and any of the angels would not do that. Just the same as in the middle of the sex, they would not come and knock on your door and go, "It's Mom. Hi, honey. I came to visit." No, they wouldn't. But all the other ones, they're waiting to do something unsettling because, like I said, they enjoy the fear. They enjoy the startle. They enjoy you pooping in your pants instead of the bowl. They enjoy all of that. So yes, they want to rattle you. And in the closet, okay. Wait, this is the funny thing. I have 2 kids, I have 2 children. Okay. And I know I wasn't the only one who did this. How many fathers hid in their kids' closet to scare the poop out of them when they came in, either from school or anything like that? That kid would open up the closet to put something away and dad would be and they go, "Bah!" Right? Don't we do that here in the living? Yes, we do. We do everything we can to scare each other because it's funny. Well, they'll do the same thing, but because they enjoy the fear, not just the fun of it.
Okay. Now, somebody passes away. We go spend all this time and effort to honor them. Not in life so much, because many of us forgot to take the time to say, "Boy, that Vincent Genna, he was an amazing human when he was alive. I love and miss him, and he's going to be." We're so free with our tongues the moment somebody's passed on. Is that why we go to our own funerals, so that we can finally get that validation? Are we still that egocentric as a spirit?
You better believe it. Let me tell you something. I better see some wailing for a little bit. I don't want it to be crying the entire time, but I need to see some tears to know that I'm going to be missed down there. It's funny that you say it that way, but yes, it's true. And I'm asked this all the time. Do spirits attend their own funeral? Yes, because here's the serious part of that. The most important things and even if any of the humans say, "No, I don't care," they're lying. Okay. Every human wants to be remembered. Every human wants to know they're going to be missed. Every human wants to know that people cared about them. Okay. That is the needs of human, and why so many are messed up today, because their upbringing did not teach that to them initially to start with, and they don't believe they are valuable. They don't believe they're cared for. They don't believe they're lovable, and they want to know they were. So yes, in a funeral, that happens to be a time where you get to find that out. Do they really miss me? Are they going to say anything nice about? I truly hit now. It's first of all, ego is not bad. Ego is a gift. First of all, God gave us ego so that we can feel good about ourselves and the work we do. Okay. It's not that causes our problems. It's our unconscious mind that creates these defense mechanisms that cause the problem. But I've done a lot of work. I've done 42, going on 43 years of this work, Dave. Now, unfortunately, because I do so much and I'm talking with people from all over the world, I know there's no way of me finding out the true extent of the impact I've had on people's lives. And it does mean something to me. I want to know I did good work. I want to know, am I all talk, or did my talk actually help? Now, I get that at times, and when I need it, it's really interesting. You know, if there's ever a time I question myself, I get that phone call. There's an email sitting right there. I will always get this beautiful message just at the moment that I need that. But in general, if we're just asking that, most people don't know the impact. I'm actually telling them the impact that they've had on people's lives. So, yes, when we're in that realm now, and the most important realm, because that's where we do all our self-assessing, okay? Did I truly have a meaning on people's lives? And a lot of the times, you get to the other side and you're surprised as to how much you've changed other people's lives. And then, unfortunately, there's a tremendous amount of times you get to the other side and you realize, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I did that. I cannot believe I didn't tell her how much I loved her. I cannot believe I didn't let my children know how wonderful they were as children and how blessed I felt having them. I cannot believe that I did that and I abused them and that I hurt them like that. So there is a self-assessment that goes on. So yes, I will say this, though. If you live a bad life, you won't hang around your funeral because you'll be afraid to hear what they say about you. If you live a good life, you want to get the validation there that you did, so you can take that with you as you're doing your work on the other side and know what you did good and know what you didn't do good. Okay. I was a hospice social worker, so I worked with over 500 patients while they were in the transitioning process and their caregivers. And I learned a lot about living through the dying. And one thing I will tell everybody right now, you will die the way you live, bottom line.
I like that because for years, that's been part of what we've talked about on the show is make right now while you have the time so that you don't have to call on mediums to help you connect, to make sure that that person still loved you and forgave you.
Oh my
If you have
God.
that open dialogue now, what a brilliant blessing, not just to you, but to the person that you're concerned about. Put those things aside at this point.
Totally. Dave, that's very enlightened. What you just said is that you will know, you'll be questioning that of yourself. Know that now that you did that you did the right thing, that you said the right thing. And all of what you just said is very profound. That was beautifully said.
Thank you. All right, one more quick question before we go to our final break. I've got a question from our audience. Now, you had mentioned before they can't talk through you because they don't have mouth and a throat. You won't see them because they don't have a body. But why do ghosts make footsteps? And we'll all 3 or 4 of us will be in a room and we can hear the footsteps crossing the floor to us. So they don't wear clothes, but they're still wearing their clickety clackety shoes.
Okay. I love that. I love that. That's great. Okay. Again, a ghost needs you.
Right.
And a ghost needs your beliefs. Okay. I have never once heard a ghost before this happened to me. Early on, my wife and I moved into a home, and we would be in bed, and all of a sudden we'd hear our pots and pans in our kitchen clanging all over the place. And we're like, oh my gosh. And we knew right away, we both believe in that stuff anyway. So we went, oh my gosh, this place has got to be haunted. There's a spirit in the kitchen. And we weren't afraid, right? But we heard the clanging in the kitchen. Well, it got so bad one night it was clanging dishes. And I just turned around and said, as long as you're in there, could you do the damn dishes, please? And so that they were all clean in the morning when we wake up. Gosh, it's like, we didn't know any better. But guess what? The moment this happened to me and I started doing this work and I had more faith and more confidence in myself, life in general, I never heard another noise again. And I work around a lot of spirits and ghosts. I will see them and I will hear if they're trying to communicate with me through my mind's ear, even though it's your mind's ear that puts together the words. Again, it's your mind's eye, your third eye, they want to call it, because they want everything mystical in this paranormal world and metaphysical world, right? It's your mind's eye, your third eye. No, it's your mind's eye. It's what you were born with. It's when you close your eyes, you can see a banana. That's not through your third eye, that's your mind's eye, okay? So you can see all of that. You can put that all together through the vibrations that are used in your head. If you don't believe you're going to hear clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop, because you didn't watch all those movies that scared the hell out of you, guess what? You're not going to hear clip, clop, clip, clop. It needs you. It actually needs your energy to move things off of his shelf, to move pennies. Isn't it funny how so many skeptics who don't believe in ghosts never have a ghost experience at all? They don't ever hear noises. They don't have their doors open and close or any of that. None of them. That's why they don't believe, because none of that has ever happened to them. So why does it happen to some and not others? It's your belief that it empowers everything else. It gives those that are deceased the ability and the power to use that energy in you that you are creating to create all those noises. As a matter of fact, they even create the bite marks through your energy on your body. And it only happens to those that have deep fears of spirits, ghosts, and believe that that can happen. Now, all of a sudden, there's bite marks and manifested on the person's body.
All right, Vincent, we have to take our final break. We'll come back. And then I want to hear some of the weirder, more chilling moments that you have had so that people know you're not bulletproof, right? We're not superhuman. We do have moments that can be unsettling, but it's how you approach it going forward. So you have about a few minutes to think about that, Vincent. We'll talk more right after this. Man, time flies when you're having fun, and even when you're not. When you're just listening to commercials, they go by that quick, and you're back into the show. Vincent Genna, our guest this evening. We have a link for Vincent's website, his work, and more. You can follow. It's on today's program guide. For those of you watching on YouTube, it's on the program guide right now, so go familiarize yourself and get more. Vincent, I can already tell you, we need to have you back more often. I think you're a great guest and a lot of fun to talk to, and I love the lightness that you can bring to this. But we're in the week of Halloween, Vincent, so I need a little something, a little creepy factor as we're rolling out for the last 7-8 minutes of tonight's show. What's some of the weirdest things and frightening things?
Oh, let me tell you something. Again, in the very beginning of this starting for me and my abilities just starting to open. Okay, because the spirits in that lost world are in an energy world, they're in a different dimension than we are, okay? They get to see the past, present, and the future happening at the same time. So obviously, when my awakening occurred, I was meant to go in the direction of being the teacher that I am today, right? Okay, well, obviously they saw that. And with a lot of people that I've spoken with, I mean, actually hundreds of people that I've spoken with that were meant to be messengers, all had very similar experiences in the beginning. So there was one weekend, I used to be a professional singer, actor, and dancer, and I was with this cast, and we went away for a weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend. We went up to a farm near Albany in New York, right? And it was one of those farms out in, in field, real big open space all around, valleys, hills, and you can see the city in the background, right? All right. So we are there, and we found a field where there was actually a few of us who were psychic and had abilities, and all I kept seeing are these balls of fire on the ground, all in the field. And my wife was with me, and two of my friends that we hung out together that entire time. They were feeling some very negative energy there. I was seeing it. And it scared me. I mean, these balls of fire, I had no idea what they were. I was very new in this, but I definitely know there was some lost souls, and they were hovering over my car. And then all of a sudden, as if these little fires, balls of fires, turned and looked at me, they started coming towards us. And we were like, holy crap. And so we ran into the car, drove back to the house, and we started telling everybody what we experienced. And it's like, oh, they all became curious. Now everybody wanted to go. Oh, everybody wanted to go. And of course, in every group, there's one self-proclaimed psychic who thinks he's the most gifted psychic around. And of course, we had one of those in our group who wanted to go and communicate with them and find out who they were. And I'm like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. Well, we all go to the field anyway. And so he creates this fictional ritual, makes us stand in a circle facing out, holding hands, and we're all going to protect each other if we see these fires. Well, right away, the four of us, again, my wife, my two friends, we felt these fires, and all of a sudden they started coming towards us, but all of us right behind them was a gigantic black hole in the ground. And that black hole started to come, and it stopped right in front of me. Well, I mean, if I was any older, Depends wouldn't have helped me back then, okay? I wouldn't have been able to hold anything in. Scared everything out of me, Dave. And I'm frozen there. My heart's beating. My wife's eyes are completely closed because she feels something, doesn't want to see it because she's not like me, but she's not into it and into it at the same time because of me. My friend is feeling it. I have no idea why this black hole is in front of me. I feel like I was going to be thrown right down into it. We left right away. I just broke the circle, went into the car. We went back to the room. Okay, everybody is talking about the spirits, and I turned around, and all of a sudden a knowing came to me. And I said, they're Civil War soldiers who were killed. They're lost. All of a sudden, the fires turned into people for me. And I saw them in my mind's eye, who they were. And they were all soldiers who were killed and traumatized in the killing, in the battles that were up there in that part of New York. Okay. So everybody goes to bed. They accept the explanation. Matter of fact, they even said, "Oh, Vince, you demystified everything. We enjoyed being scared. Now you made it normal." And they all got mad at me and they left the room. But the four of us were sleeping in the same room. Well, that night we close our eyes, going to sleep, and all of a sudden I see that black dark hole again. But this time it's on the wall of the room, and it comes over my bed. And it falls on top of me. Now I feel completely pinned down in the bed. My friends start yelling because one of them sees this darkness on top of me. My wife is crying, and the other girl is screaming prayers to Jesus to help me. I saw the most evil green eyes. I will never forget them. They were nose to nose with me, right over my eyes. With my eyes closed, I couldn't do anything else but see these green eyes and this pressure on me. I couldn't move, not at all. And I'm praying and I'm saying, you cannot harm me. You cannot hurt me. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. And they're praying, Our Father, the Hail Marys, everything. Finally, it jumps off of me. It goes onto the ceiling. I still see its eyes. And then I see it dart through the house and go through the wall and leave our bedroom. But in all the rooms that the other people were sleeping, you would hear, what the hell is that? Oh my God, what's that? Throughout the house that night. Well, that morning you heard everybody gather for breakfast. We just about could get up in the morning. We slept with the light on the entire night after I got out of bed and turned on the light. And we're hearing them talk about what that could have been, but we weren't about ready to share anything. That was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. But eventually I was told shortly after that, as soon as I got home, that the negative ghosts, the spirits, can be so bad and evil because there's no demons. They're just very angry ghosts and souls, just like you and me, but that are trapped. They get so angry and fearful that they want to stop you from doing the work you're going to do, especially since they knew I was going to do all this positive work. They thought they could scare me out of the work. From that moment on, I was never frightened again. I was more determined to do this work, and they could never and have never bothered me or tried to scare me again. But so many people that I spoke to that are messengers had very similar early experiences of trying to scare them out of the work they were meant to do. That was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. But then nothing after that. Nothing after that. But what happens to me a lot when I see spirits and I get information from them, it could actually be traced back to history to find out that it's true. And that's why Chicago brought me around. And my last, the oldest ghost, that warrior from Rome, the Roman soldier that I did see when we were in Italy. My wife and I were in Italy, and I saw a soldier at the Colosseum at night. And he even gave me his name. And I asked him why he was stuck here. He told me he was deemed a traitor, labeled a traitor, him and his family. He was humiliated and he died horribly. Caesar hated him and all of that. And in his name, I Googled his name. Something told me to Google his name. And there he was with every single detail that he told me on that hill overlooking the Colosseum was in Google about why he was deemed a traitor and what happened to him. And he came from 7026 BCE. That's how old he was, 726 BCE, and he was still stuck there, Dave.
All right, one last question from our audience, because you started off this story with something interesting. You mentioned your mind's eye. And
Yes.
I happened to notice that Kat Bringle had asked earlier, what's the difference between the third eye and the mind's eye? Thank you, Kat.
You know what the difference is? I'll tell you what the difference is. When the New Age came around, they wanted to make magic and mystify everything that was normal. Okay, so the concept of the third eye sounds so much more mystical than your mind's eye, doesn't it? But it's the exact same thing. And intuition and insight does not come into your mind's eye or your third eye. It comes through your solar plexus, which is down by your gut. It's by your adrenal glands. That's why you get a gut feeling, because you feel it in here and then it just creeps up into your heart space and it becomes a heartfelt feeling, which is what you're supposed to follow. Your mind gets to interpret it. Your left brain interprets what you're feeling, which is the reason for intellect, but it comes through your solar plexus, not from up here. But they want you to envision like clearing your mind's eye and everything like that. You're clearing your mind's eye because that's their way of teaching you how to open up your intuition so that you can see things. Yeah, it's better to hear things and get information and get a knowing. If you want to become a medium, then you can worry about seeing things. I teach that too. But if you just want pure guidance, open up and learn to listen to your intuition and your channel, which comes through all of your senses: feeling, knowing, seeing, hearing, smelling, all of that. It can come in when your channel is open, but there is no difference between your mind. How come they don't talk about your third ear? Right? They only talk about your mind's eye, your third eye, right? Because that's the mystical part, because it seems to be part of your chakra system. Your mind's eye, your third eye is supposed to be at the very top where your pineal gland is, or pineal gland, however you want to pronounce it out there, right? And so it's connected to something. It's not connected to anything except your mind. And that's what you use to see that's what your mind uses to think with. It does not think in words, your mind. It thinks in visions. Because if I said, think of a bed, you would immediately picture a bed. You wouldn't see the word B-E-D. You picture the bed. You picture a banana. That's how your mind works. But we call that part thinking.
Well, maybe you picture a banana when you picture the bed, Vincent, but that's not my groove.
Okay.
Vincent, thank you so much. Do you have anything coming up, promoting? You want to let people know
actually, yes. I have got an incredible Greece tour that's coming up, cruise, and you can go to mysteryschoolatSea.com to find out all about it. We are going to be visiting some of the most ancient sacred spots in Greece and Turkey on this fabulous 10-day cruise, and all the spiritual learning with our luminaries that are on that cruise ship with us in between that time. The excursions are fabulous, but just go, that you've got great prices right now before December 8th. And it's just going to be an amazing spiritual experience for you with all these luminaries bringing you personally to those incredible sacred sites. So that's mysteryschool@sea.com, and just go to my website at vincentgenna.com to find out everything and about my podcast and all of that about me, and to make an appointment. And my book, The Secret That's Holding You Back, that's going to get you clearing that channel and really doing the work to help you manifest the life of your dreams.
And we've got a link up to Vincent's website, so you can find that and all the rest of the details there. Vincent, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Dave, you've been incredible. Thank you so much. I had such a good time with you and your incredibly insightful questions. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my friend, and thank you all for spending some time here with us. We love to do these little journeys into the strange and the supernatural, trying to get answers to the things that are always talking in the back of our head. And tonight we've crossed that unseen line between worlds where memories breathe, energy lingers, and love refuses to die. Vincent Genna reminds us that spirit realm isn't a place of terror, but a reflection of our own unfinished stories. So as you light your candles this Hallows Eve, remember, connection never ends. It only changes form. And may the darkness of this world be just a little brighter with the information we share here each week on our Paranormal 60.